Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello again, ladies and gentlemen. It's your favorite paranormal investigator. This is Paranormal Insight. That's my name. I'm Tim Sudano, your host today and leader of the paranormal team Scary. We're going to have one of those days with the internet today, it seems, because there's a little bit of a lag going on. But nonetheless, here we are, and welcome to the show. Today, we're going to talk largely about my family's history with ghosts and ghost stories and spiritual contact and all that fun stuff. Sorry, I'm juggling my phone over here trying to mute it. There we go. So let's get started. But before we jump into that, I want to share a couple of short things just to kind of get them out of the way because it's just easier to get them out of the way now. So let me share this with you real quick, and that is this. My film festival. We're still accepting entries. We're in the regular phase now, so things are a little more expensive. But if you write me actually, I'm sorry, check that. I will give all my listeners or those they reference to, the film festival, a discount. And that discount comes with a password. And the password is scary with a Y. Not like my ghost hunting thing, but scary with a Y. And you type that into a little email to me through the website there. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see what that looks like. I think I can zoom into that to see what that looks like. There it is. And this site is... I just completely buried my thing. There it is. Sorry. Fun with technology, ladies and gentlemen. But let me zoom in a little bit here. And that's the website. www.scruffytux, all one word.com/I2F2. And we will be happy to give you anyone you reference, as long as they provide the password scary with a Y, SCARY, we'll give them the student discount, and they can download, or rather register with us under the student discount. So there you go with that small piece of business taken care of. I also want to give everyone an update on my film. First off, I want to say hi to Heidi. Heidi's here. Woohoo! Welcome, Heidi. It's fantastic. I'm so happy to have Heidi here. She's driving, listening to us at the same time, which is super cool. But let me touch base with you guys on something else I wanted to update you on. And that is, let me see if I can get there. You've, well, I'll just play this from the beginning, I guess. You've all heard of my film that I'm working on right now, and I wanted to share that with you as well and give you a little bit of an update that as to how that's going. And it's not playing. It is playing, but it's being loud. Okay, where's the picture, man? Aha, we have to add it to the stage. So this is my film. This is a promo for it, actually. All that fun stuff. But I wanted to let you know that we are putting this film together, and I have another little clip to share with you guys. This is the Trident of Light film. And nope, that's my slideshow. It's fun having the internet just do things that you don't want it to do. Not the internet, your computer. I had this all set up before, but for whatever reason, it just took a complete and total poop on me, and that's okay. Let me go to the right thing here. There it is. This is a very short little 5-second thing, and it's actually not in the film properly, but I'll share it with you anyway, just to show you that the film is proceeding. We are making progress and advancing a little more each day. So that's fun. Uh, here's a very short little 5 second thing of us talking to a character off screen. That's it. But I am editing things, I am putting things together. So, yeah, it's coming along pretty good. I'm really happy about that. And now let's get on to, now that those pieces of business are taken care of, let's jump into the actual crux of the whole thing here. Excuse me. Windows. Okay, I just totally forgot how to. There we go. Nope. Hide the sidebar. There we go. We having fun yet? Um, let's see. So, like I said, let's get into the crux of the story. We have a lot of strange tales in my family. In that they were always told in a family situation, like everybody was gathered together, that type of thing. And they were, you know, the stories themselves were always just kind of not mythological, but I mean they were told as more like straight up and down stories you tell around the campfire. Hey, Mish is here. I just saw that. So's Carfast. And 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 Sherry, and oh my gosh, there's tons of people here. But my family stories were always kind of campfirey. And only later on did I discover that these stories were actual stories. I mean, they actually happened to my family members. The bulk of these are going to come from my uncle, Jimmy. And that's Jimmy over here, if you can see my cursor, the one with the mustache, the younger one. We're here he is with my grandfather's son, celebrating our Italian heritage. I don't know what the occasion was, but we really dove into our Italian heritage this day. But mostly these stories come from Jimmy, the guy with the mustache here, my uncle. And his first one revolves around an apartment he lived in Santa Cruz. And if anyone knows anything about Santa Cruz, Santa Cruz is a little weird anyway. But it gets extra weird when you add the paranormal. Now, I've had my would-be paranormal thing. I saw my aliens there, the same one that Carl saw, tall white guys. Tall whites is what they're called. But this is a ghost story. Now, why is there a footprint on tile? Well, if you look a little closer, that footprint is on the ceiling. This is all AI generated. From this point forward, I just want you all to note that. Yeah. Home of the Lost Boys, indeed. Yep. That's true. There's a celebration there every year for it. It's kind of funny. It's cool, actually. I've been to it once, and it does get a little freaky because everyone dresses up and puts on their best 80s biker leather jackets and puts some fangs in their face, and they get a little too into it. Serving beer during that thing is probably not the best, wisest idea, but I digress. So why is there a footprint on the ceiling? Because one day, my Uncle Jimmy, guy with the mustache in the other picture, was, I think he was about to, sorry, the chat's really cracking me up right now. You guys are awesome. My uncle was getting ready one day and he hears, or no, he's about to go to bed. That's what it was. He's about to go to bed one night and he hears boom, 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 boom. Somebody's walking down the hall and he lives alone. Okay. And, but, I think he just, hold on. He did have roommates, but they were not there. They were gone. So he had the place to himself. So he opens his door. What's going on? He shines his flashlight around. Doesn't see anything. And they keep... He doesn't pay attention to it. Closes the doors, gets in the bed again, and then... Boom, 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 boom. More walking sounds. You guys in the chat are having too much fun. It makes me wish I had a glass of something in my hand. All I have is water, though. So, to you all. But so he shines his flashlight around, and he notices that the bathroom light is on. All of a sudden, that's my gurgling stomach. Excuse me. And so he creeps over there and he looks around and he calls out, "Hello? Did someone come home early and you just didn't hear them?" Because everything was super. Carrie is still in bed. That's too funny. That's awesome. Sorry, in the chat, but the bathroom lights on. He calls out, "Hey, is anyone here? Did someone come home early?" Dead silence. So he's, he barely, he's still a little groggy at this point. He was awoken from his sleep, and so he turns off the light, and he hits the bedroom door. Right, he doesn't hit it, but he gets there, and boom, 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 boom. Again, he turns around, flashlight on, nobody's there, and the bathroom light's on again. So he says, "Hello, hello, hello." He starts calling, and you're not supposed to go into your roommate's friends, privacy and all that, but no one's there, and he's starting to get a little scared. So he's actually expecting his friends to be playing a trick on him. So he goes up to the door, opens it real quick. No one's in. Nope, no one's there. Bed's made, and the drawers are open. I think he said because he packed up in a hurry. I guess his girlfriend got the weekend off work or whatever, and they went off somewhere. This roommate and his girlfriend, and so it's like, okay, what is going on? So he goes back to the bathroom, and he's about to turn off the light, and when he gets this, something catches his eye in the corner, and he looks up, and there's muddy human footprints, multiple ones. This is just one that is depicted here in the AI. Muddy footprints walking up the wall of the shower and on the ceiling, out into the hall, and then they disappear. And so someone's playing a trick on him. He calls out one more time, "Hello, hello, hello." I don't know what to do. So he ponders it for a second, and he's shining the flashlight around, and so he goes around and he turns all the lights on in the house. Kind of a waste of power back in the day, but he's scared realistically, and he makes sure the house is empty, and then he turns everything back off. He goes back to the bathroom, and the footprints are gone. No sign of them at all. He turns out the bathroom light. And it's like 1 or 2 in the morning at this point. He's been kept up way past. He's got work the next day, So he takes a swig of a cold medicine because he knows that'll knock him out. And he proceeds to go to bed. But before he finally nods off, he swears he hears more walking. And he's just too tired, and the cold medicine is kicked in. And he drifts off to what he calls an uncomfortable sleep. He said that he had to, it was a battle for the cough medicine to keep him asleep. And when he woke up the next day, super groggy, and gets ready. He's afraid to take a shower because that's where the footprints were and all the activity. So he says he took the quickest shower of his life. He says, I just turned the water on, didn't wait for it to heat up at all, and just did everything as fast as I could and got out of there as quick as I can. I shaved at the office, he said. And the funny thing is, this was the only time the footprints ever showed up. So, my Uncle Jimmy would go on to say that despite everything, there was a there was never anything except for the footprints themselves. There was never an atmosphere of dis-ease. Dis-ease? That's disease. I can't talk. Of uneasiness is the word I was looking for. Sure, the walking was weird, but why was it on the ceiling? I mean, and why were they muddy? But he was trepidatious when he got home. He had a hard time getting to sleep that night, but nothing else ever happened in that way. But that apartment had more activity in it to present it to my Uncle Jimmy and whoever else was there. And this next one was really kind of bizarre, in that it also took place in the bathroom. Now, the picture I have here to share with you doesn't depict a bathroom, despite my numerous attempts to get AI to cooperate with me. But, I'm going to go with this one. So you can see. Well, no, I won't. We'll go with this one. So this is a ghost image. No kidding. Image of a ghost terrorizing a guy in a chair. The reality was my uncle was in that same bathroom where the footprints appeared, and I think this was a few months later, maybe a few months later, couple months, I'll call it. The exact timing of all this was, it kind of eludes me. He was only in this apartment for like a couple, 3 years, and only a few strange things happened. But a couple months after the footprints on the ceiling, he's sitting in the bathroom. Guess what he's doing when he's sitting in the bathroom? Yep, number 2. And you didn't need to know that, but just to clue you in, because I sense some of my visitors would like to know that. I don't know. Not really. My mouth is just going blah, 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 blah. But, so he's doing his business. And finishes up. He's washing his hands, and he suddenly feels this horrible pain in his leg. And it's enough to make him go, yell out. It was super painful. And he said it felt like someone just took a blade of some sort and cut off a piece of his leg. When he looks down, nothing's bleeding, but he's missing a swath of hair about that big. I remember him making this when he was telling the story. This is what he did. And that's roughly, maybe 2.5, 3 inches across. Bunch of hair just ripped out of his leg by the root. Nowhere to be seen. It's just suddenly missing. Okay. And he's in agony. It hurt. It hurt. Hair being pulled out hurts, obviously. But he goes on to say, and he got the yeah. Witch gave him a waxing. Well, I don't know if this was a witch. We're under the impression still to this day that this was a ghost of some sort, mischievous spirit, perhaps. But well, the funny thing is, he didn't keep going. It just that one little. It hurt. 2-inch patch gone, bald right there for some reason, and on the outer side portion of his thigh, I should add. And he actually started talking. Hello. Who is it? Who's there? No response. Nothing like that ever happened really again. But it was enough that it stuck in his memory. He says, I don't know what was going on. And after this, he gets word from his roommate. Sorry, let me put my face back up here. He gets word from his roommate that his roommate is experiencing similar things. Sounds of footprints. Things moving in his room when no one else is there. And, Sherry's going to her animal shelter. How lovely. That's awesome. So there's no one there. A ghost witch taking... Okay, I'm going to put that up just so everyone can see it. Carr says it was taking his hair for a spell. I would tend to lean into agreeing with you, but for the following information. Um, so he talks to his roommate. They compare notes, and something's definitely going on. Um, but they say they don't really know what to do about it, and they say, well, I don't know. Well, talk to her parents, talk to friends, see what they know about it. Maybe they have some insight, some knowledge, some sort of solution. And they wait like another couple of weeks before they finally get an answer. In the interim, though, after talking about this aloud, between themselves, they have an interesting incident where, and this is probably one of my favorite stories. Uh, um, he goes. My uncle is alone. Oh no, they're both there. Both he and his roommate are there, and he beats his roommate up every day. So he makes the coffee. Well, um, when he gets downstairs, uh, when he gets downstairs, the coffee's already made. Now this is a manual. Put the grounds in, pour the hot water in, kind of coffee warmer more than a maker, right? This is before the days when Mr. Coffee was just coming out, and it was like a luxury at that point. And a couple of young guys on their own for the first time really can't afford, a full-on automatic coffee maker. So this is a manual type, and it's already made, and it's piping hot too. Just made, fresh coffee. And oh, did Sherry join? Did I say hi to Sherry? When did Sherry pop in? I did. I said hi to Sherry. But hi again, Sherry. Good to see you. Uh, but so the coffee's made. Like it was an apology of some sort for causing all this chaos. That's the intonation. Well, the roommate comes down. Hey, you made the coffee. I said, no, I got a question for you. Did you make the coffee? Like get up, make it, go back to sleep and sleep through your alarm or something? Nope. You made the coffee, right? And the roommate says, dude, no, I didn't. I mess up coffee all the time. I don't know how to make it. He's one of those kinds of guys that I guess just didn't know how to make coffee. I ran into that all the time, especially in the military. It was kind of funny. You know how to make coffee? Yeah, it's really easy. But I digress. So roommate didn't know how to properly make coffee, and my Uncle Jimmy did, but the coffee was already made. I don't know. So again, there's this weird little switch: diabolical footprints, diabolical hair pulling, and now we have a gesture of like, well, they make coffee for him. It was, I don't know. I don't know how to make it up. So within that week, one or the other's girlfriends that they were dating at the time says, "Hey, I know a psychic. Let's bring her in." Oh, okay, good idea. Psychic's gonna, are they legit? Now, keep in mind, this is at a time where anything dealing with spiritual activity of any sort was kind of super woo-woo, and it was really frowned upon. So you kind of kept it hush hush, and you paid for the secrecy. So they remember they had to shell out like $150 at the time, a big deal, still is. But $150 for this lady to come over. And she walks in and she's wearing, the what you might expect from a 1970s psychic, lots of draped clothing and stuff like that. Kind of cliche. And he and the roommate, my uncle and his roommate, are like, okay, well, these girls suckered in, and then we got suckered in because they believe in her. But they let her do her thing. And she walks around a little bit, and she has her hands out, and she's feeling the energy and the space and all that. And I don't know if she was told these things or not, because these two, my uncle and his roommate, told their girlfriends pretty much everything. It's like, you are not going to believe what happened at the apartment the other day. So whether they informed the psychic of this or not, I'm still unclear of to this day. But they all seemed kind of surprised. At least the ladies did. When the psychic says, you had interactions here. Yep. You were attacked, pinched, something like that. And, Jimmy looks at his girlfriend. The girlfriend kind of shakes her head like, I didn't say anything about it. But that doesn't mean the other girlfriend didn't, though. So, I don't know. We're still kind of in a haze as to what was and what was not spoken of with the psychic. And so, yeah, I did. Um, pinch, you were pinched, you were harmed. And he says, yeah. He's wearing shorts. I think he's wearing shorts. Maybe he isn't. my my uncle was brazen. I don't know if brazen's the right word, but he unbuckles his belt and drops trow a little bit. And he pulls up his boxers, and there's still that patch of missing hair. It's just starting to fill in. He says, yes, that happened. He pulled all the hair out of it. And the psychic says, okay, and who walked on the ceiling? I don't know who walked on the ceiling. There were just footprints, and then they disappeared. Interesting. Were they large? Kind of, maybe about my size. The footprint was about my size of footprint, like when I go to the beach or something. Okay. Mind you, they're in Santa Cruz, so the beach is right there. So she proceeds to ask a few more questions, and she makes her way to the kitchen and says, what's with the coffee maker? Tell me about the coffee maker. And the roommate pipes in and says, well, Jimmy says he didn't make the coffee. I don't make the coffee because I'm horrible at it. I always mess it up. So Jimmy says that was made the other day, like for us. And it's just the two of us. And like I said, Jimmy's the one that makes the coffee and insists that he didn't that morning. She says, huh. Very interesting. So she proceeds to walk the upstairs where the bathroom is, where the footprints occurred, and where the hair was pulled out. And she takes a few more readings, asks a few more questions. And then she says, okay, follow me downstairs. And they all gather in a little living space. And she sits them all down. And she says, you have two or three spirits here. One kind of wanders the entire complex. And that is a little girl, maybe 10 or 12. She died here about 100 years ago. And that's the one who pulled your hair out. Apparently she likes you. And that was her way of, when you're a little kid, you inflict violence on people you like. Humans are weird. Even mild violence, Anyway. So apparently that's what that was. And then he says, the walking, you hear walking. He says, yeah, walking. That's where the footprints came from. It's just, okay, I got the impression of a Native American walking around here. And he's, he didn't die too well, and he's kind of stuck here on this plane. Okay, so why is he picking on us? He says, well, he died like pretty much where you're living. So he's kind of here. And he's aware of the space, what's changed over the decades and centuries and stuff like that, and he's not happy about it, and he's just kind of expressing himself. But more than anything, it's about him trying to get someone's attention so he can move on. He wants to move on, but he doesn't know how. No one knows his traditions. So he says, oh, well, okay. Well, wow. I mean, if we can help him out in any way, do we, is there a prayer or something like that we could do? He says, no, nothing Catholic, nothing traditional in the Western tradition. It has to be an Indian ceremony. And she she says, I happen to know one for an extra $75. And it's like, oh, come on. But they agree to it. More about that later. And then she says, the third spirit appears to be kind of matronly, motherly. Did either of you lose your mother recently? My uncle says no. And the roommate says, no, my mom's still alive too. What about a grandmother, an aunt, something like that? Someone who knows one of you really super well. Both of them at the time, my great grandmothers, my uncle's grandmothers, were alive. So it wasn't him. But the roommate, I think, says, yeah, my great grandma passed away not too long ago, and my aunt passed away, her daughter, not too long after that. Oh, okay. I think it's one of them, maybe both of them working in concert, but they're looking out for you somehow, for the two of you. And they like the two of you together as a team. You're good friends, and Jimmy's good for whoever the other guy's name, I can't remember now. And so we like the camaraderie, and they kind of shooed the other spirits away. So they're kind of acting as protectors, and they made coffee for you one day, didn't they? So they're all flabbergasted by the thing, by that revelation that either grandma or auntie, whoever it was, made coffee for them, which is a feat because you have to go up into a cupboard, open a coffee can, scoop stuff out, put the filter in, pour the hot water. It was a lot for people to absorb because you would have heard all that. So how did they do it without making so much noise as to even wake people up? And the psychic didn't really have a lot of answers with regard to the bulk of their questions, only because what she usually laid out was something along the lines of, oh, the spirits know how to be quiet, and operate mysterious ways, and they don't share the limits of physics like we do, so they can probably pass things through the wall, the cupboards, whatever. It wouldn't be a thing for them. Wow, that's pretty powerful. And then she just it's part of being a ghost, like she knew. And she says, okay, I have to go get some stuff from the car, and then I'll come back and I'll perform the ritual to send the Native American guy to his heaven. And it's $75 PS. Okay, fine. And I think the girlfriends all pitched in on it. They made it an even 100. And she performed the ritual. She did a little dance. She did a little prayer in Native American. I don't know what language. But apparently it worked, because there was nothing else happened there for like a year up until my uncle left. So that's my uncle's story. As far as that goes. That's not the only story my family has, though. Pardon me. Dang, sorry about that. Knocked my earpiece out here. With regard to another story that happens a bit earlier, before my uncle was born, I believe, happens at my grandmother's house. Well, my mom was living there too, so it was the family home where my grandmother was living with her husband and her family and all that fun stuff in the 50s and 60s. And my mom's the one who actually was part of this story. So it wasn't uncommon for my grandmother to trot downstairs and get a midnight snack, and then trot upstairs again. And one night, my mom hears her on the stairs and says it was surprisingly heavy on the stairs, like she was dragging a bowling ball behind her or something like that. And so boom, 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 boom. and the stairs creaked in one section, and the creak showed up, and it seemed like whoever it was ascending the staircase versus coming down. And the you know, and it woke her up. That's the thing. It didn't wake up anyone else apparently, but it woke my mom up when she was 10, 11, 12, something like that, like lower end teenager stuff. And she goes to the goes to her mom the next day and says, "Hey, I heard you on the stairs. Are you okay?" No, you did what? I wasn't last night. Yeah, I don't know, like midnight, 12:30, 1 in the morning, something like that. I heard you. You woke me up. I didn't. I didn't do anything last. I didn't get up last night. Yeah, sure you did. I heard you going up the stairs. No, you didn't. Because I didn't get up last night. I was too tired. Oh, okay. So it's kind of uh, it stuck in her craw, and I think she asked her about it later on. And she said, "Are you sure you didn't get that night? Because I heard you. It was loud. It woke me up." And it's like, I'm telling you, wait a minute. And the grandma thinks about it, says, I've heard steps on the stairs too, and I always thought it was you kids, but it seemed heavier. And mom says, "Yeah, that's what I heard. It was heavier. It's like you were dragging a bowling ball behind you." And the grandma says, "Oh, well, I've heard that noise. I know that noise." And my grandma says, "You know who used to live here before us?" "Oh, yeah, yeah, that's this one family. I forget who it is. But it was kind of tragic. Their family moved out because they, one, didn't have a need for such a large home anymore. There was a tragedy." Or a body. Jeez, Car. Car, you're a hoot. You're so funny. It wasn't a dead body being dragged down the stairs. Uh, that's in the chat. But no, it was a bowling ball. Thick, thick, thick. It was the grandma says, "Okay, so you know who lived here?" "Yeah, yeah, yeah." "You know what happened to their son?" I says, "Oh yeah, he didn't. He was in Korea, the Korean War, and he didn't make it back." He says, "You know, I swear up and down, I saw him a couple of times, and I've heard that same thing him going up the stairs, because he used to live. All the bedrooms were upstairs in this house, and he was supposed to come home like 2 weeks before he passed. Like not 2 weeks later." He was supposed to come home for liberty or leave or whatever it is, and he never made it home. Instead, he was shipped home with the full ceremony and all that fun stuff. But yeah, they thought it might have been the son of this couple that lived there before them. Decorated military young man, and he did not make it home, or at least his body didn't make it home. Apparently his spirit did, though, and they were convinced because just the measure of the steps and how heavy they were, and they think it was him. So wow, that one always kind of chokes me up a little bit. But I digress. So that was that story. And then we get to, let's see. Okay. And then we get to another story. That happens about, let's see, what was that? It was my aunt, my sister's mom, my mom's sister, my mom's sister, her younger sister. immediately younger. She comes from a family of five, including my Uncle Jimmy, who was the baby of that family. So my mom's number two. The aunt I'm referring to is number three. Now, in her house, there are all kinds of crazy things happening. One of which was a visitation of some sort. And they had always complained about some strange sort of spiritual activity in the house. They'd always hear footsteps. This is at my aunt's place now. A few, like maybe a decade or two down the line, when she was married, had her kids, and all that fun stuff. And so they're having activity. It's pretty constant too, but it's nothing invasive until this one night. So my aunt drifts off to sleep. Now my aunt was always kind of spiritual in her own right. She wasn't spiritual. Okay, that just kind of answers it right there. But she's always been a little more open to this type of thing, to the paranormal and the ghosts and stuff like that. So she's going to bed one night, and she hears the footsteps she always hears in the hallway. At this point, it's natural and it's timely every single night. These little footsteps, light ones, not baby footsteps, but careful footsteps, high-heeled footsteps, which is interesting. I have rarely actually heard. It's not that rare, but it's rare enough, at least in my experience as an investigator. I never hear people talking about high-heeled sounds. My aunt did. She says, I heard these high heels. Not like click clack of like stilettos or anything, but maybe a 1 inch heel ladies wear around the house, kind of a thing, especially back in the day. And this takes place in the 80s, just so you have a frame of reference. Again, we're still in this taboo thing. It's like you don't talk about ghosts if you don't want to seem like a kook. But telling stories among the family, you think I'm crazy, whatever. I'm just telling you what I heard, kind of a thing. So she hears the click, clack, click, clack on the wood floor of the hall. And I remember her house quite well, and her bedroom's at the end. And usually the footsteps rather, go click, clack, click, clack past the bedroom. This time, there weren't as many. Stop short. Something stopped the spirit. And then she hears a slight squeak of the door, and she looks at the door. She's facing it. She barely drifted off, kind of out of one eye, kind of a deal. And she sees the door. It's closed over, but it's not completely closed. There's like a gap of light coming through. And it goes, like a little bit, In reality, not wide enough for a living person to squeeze through, but someone went through the motions of opening the door, slipping through, and then it closes behind them. And then the carpeted floor has a distinct bop, 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 footsteps, right? And then the stench hits her. And I mean, it's not rot, it's perfume, and it's heavy, and it's thick. It's like gardenia on steroids, like someone just dumped the entire bottle all over themselves. And oh my god, she wakes up and she can't breathe. She's choking on this horrible, horrible smell that just occupied every inch around her. And she's gasping for breath. And she finally says, lady, you gotta leave. You're killing me with your perfume. And as soon as she says that, the footsteps retreat. The door goes, again, not big enough for a person. And we hear the click clacks disappear down the hallway. The smell abates, but not enough. She actually runs a fan to clear out the stink. And I think her husband at the time was out of town, so she was alone, except for the kids. And she catches a whiff of it the next day, and she says out loud while she's making breakfast, and her kids are there, but she's not aware. She says, "Lady, I'm serious. I can't stand the smell." Like she's talking to her like a normal, like it's a normal person floating around, which sometimes works, believe it or not. Kudos to my aunt for having the foresight to treat the, spirit entity as a regular old person. And her kids look at her, my cousins look at her, was like, who are you talking to? She says, the ghost we have? And tells them the story. She said, I didn't hear anything last night, and I don't smell anything. It says, hey, it was a whiff. I mean, I guess I'm super sensitive to it, but I got like, it was all around me last night, so it stuck in my nose, I guess. And thinking, oh, okay, I get that. I've had that happen. So a little bit of sympathy from the cousins. That's always nice. But they said, really, 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 like they were questioning her. They weren't testing. They didn't think she was crazy because your mom has no reason to really lie to you. But especially about strange stuff like that. But it was an interesting story, and the footsteps continued. The kids became more aware of it. My cousins became more aware of it after that story. And then they were scared all the time because they didn't want to be like gardenia stink bombed. But apparently it was such a stench, it really just drove. Yeah, I can relate. I've had living relatives who've kind of gone overboard on the perfume. And, all that, when you visit people in general, that happens anyways. But it was, it was, it left a mark, a mental mark. And that was one of the weird things. I think I spent the night there once, and of course I've heard the story, so I was kind of afraid of the ghost. I didn't smell anything, I didn't hear anything, and that's all I have to relate to it personally, but it was still an interesting story, and it comes up every once in a while. Oh yeah, that stink, that stench. And she has another ghost story, but unfortunately, I don't remember what it was exactly, and I couldn't reach her to have her tell it to me, so we'll save that for quasi part 2 in the future of the family ghost stories. It is 45 minutes into the hour, and I am yawning. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Huh. Beg your pardon. Okay, so let me ask my lovely people in the chat, do you have any ghost stories you'd like to relate? And if you have the ability, are you able to hop on the air with me? Because I will give you a link to come on the air and tell your story. You can, if you don't want to use the camera, that's fine. You can just tell it visually and we'll go from there. But through the audio, I can't talk. I'm so sorry. So that's available, or you can tell me in the chat. Family ghost stories is what I'm looking for. And having those experiences relate to you, how do they affect your spirituality and how you approach, the paranormal in general. For me, it left me more curious than afraid. Maybe not when I was a little kid, but as I matured, I got, excuse me, talk, y'all. I just don't talk that much in my normal everyday life. So my yawns kick in when I talk too much. But anyway, for me, it was more of a awakening to this calling as a paranormal investigator. It was certainly something that I wanted to experience, and it took me a while to remember that I already had that experience at the age of 3. You've heard the story. The stewardess, that's what they called them back in the day. When I was 3, air steward lady, to be a little more politically correct, shows up. I think I've told you this story, and just flips on the living room light, which I couldn't reach, and proceeds to scold me without any sound. Hands on hips. Just amazing. Just amazing. I still to this day don't know if a stewardess ever lived, female air steward. There's a gnat flying around here. Ever lived in that apartment. I was not able to find that out, which was annoying to say the least. Yeah, I wish I kept in touch with the neighbors because maybe they knew something, but apparently not. So, Cars had many paranormal. Too many. Okay. Yeah, paranormal things to count. I'm going to share this with everyone. But it did provoke me to understand the dynamics of what was happening, studying scripture and others that know how to remove entities, how Jesus told us we could do it. I'm adding words in there because they're missing. So, pardon my paraphrase, Car. Yeah, it's fascinating. There is that need to overcome the spiritual, especially if you're having bad experiences with them, and removing them is what we do. It's scary. We remove. Well, JJ removes them, but it's don't worry about grammar, cards. You should see me. I'm the spell check king. I was like, oh, you don't spell the word that way? Holy, I didn't know that. What a moron. Chastise myself for 5 minutes. But, yeah, the removal of these spirits. Now, that's something very interesting, and maybe we can get into that in a little bit. I tell you what, we're going to take a break, a pinch early, do a little station ID, and you hear me blab up, do my commercials. I gotta change some of this stuff. It's getting a little bit old. I do want to encourage you all to jump over to the Patreon, though, if you're so interested. It's not much. I use the minimum. I'm not looking to get rich off this stuff at all. But your support will be very, 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 very much welcome. And it'll help keep the lights on because I'm starting to not be able to do that. But see you in a little bit. See you in about 2 minutes. This is the United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM in New Orleans and 105.3 in the Gulf Coast. UPRN Esoteric programming at its finest.
Long ago in the ancient world, the Tribus Omnis Lux, later known as the Tridents, were celebrated heroes, defenders of humanity against unspeakable monsters. Today, they continue that sacred duty in secret, hunting the dark evils that lurk just beyond the shadows. They are the Trident of Light.
And we'll be right back after this. Hi, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tim Sudano, host of Paranormal Insight, a weekly video magazine that reaches 500,000 viewers and listeners every week on average, and the number is only growing. Connect your brand with our curious, dedicated audience who want authentic content and authentic brands. For further information on putting your brand on the show, contact me directly at paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. That's paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. Today we're going to talk about the strange and the unusual. Check out our Patreon. Get deeper, behind-the-scenes insights. Also, tips into being a better paranormal investigator and other fascinating content. Follow us on Instagram at paranormal.insight. Stay informed on upcoming shows, see what paranormal trends we're following, and help us reach 50,000 followers by liking, following, and sharing. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube at paranormal_insight. Click the live tab to see our latest videos. Okay, there we go. Wow. The lag is real, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. My name's Tim Sedano. This is Paranormal Insight, and today we're talking about ghost stories in general. We're talking about my ghost stories and my family's ghost stories. And during the break, Carr gave us this. I used to physically pray in a home or on land or a land, but now I can pray remotely to remove and close portals and access points. They can and the access points they can enter. That's very key. Yeah, remote work is surprisingly effective. I didn't think it would be because JJ said, I can do that remotely. It's like, you can? Really? What are you showing up for then? That's a joke. That's half a joke, actually. I did ask her that. She says, well, I want to be there. It's fun to encounter this stuff, But anyway, I digress. So JG does remote work as well. Mostly it's reserved for those places and clients and friends and whoever else you're helping out. If you have the ability to do that remotely, it's going to help. And especially if you can't travel 1,000 miles to help someone, say, I don't know, Wichita. So, especially from out here in the Bay Area in California. So, that helps out quite a bit. If you have the ability, I do not. I've been wanting to focus it more. I keep saying that, but que sera. Pardon my eating. I'm a little hungry. Yeah, saves on travel fees. But if we're talking, let's also talk about having family themselves come back. I'm going to tell you a couple different stories about that. This first one's a little long-winded because there's a lot of elements to it. Oh shoot, I closed that thing. That was dumb of me. Let's see here. There we go. So, you may remember my uncle and what he looked like. I'll give you a brief reminder about that. And there he is. Again, whoop, no it isn't. Hey, that's my background. There he is. Sitting with my grandpa. We're showing off the Italian pride a little bit there. He's the one in the with the mustache, the younger one. Well, my uncle passed early, way early in life. He was not living the healthiest of lifestyles, a bit of a party animal, I guess you could say. He never really outgrew that phase, and it did come back to kind of bite him a little bit. He passed of a heart attack brought on by several factors, not the least of which was he wasn't the healthiest individual in the world. So, anyway, he passes, and he is young. He is, gosh, I beat him by 20 years. I'm 53 currently. I don't care. He was 33 when he passed of a heart attack. Wow. I mean, that kicked us all in the stomach or lower in one of the most profound ways. That loss was palpably felt as if he were beyond just being family, he was almost like, I don't know, he was the baby of that segment of the family where my sister was, my sister. I don't have a sister. I do, but not that way. My mom was his sister, his older sister. And again, he was the baby of that little family group. And he was everybody's favorite. He's one of those guys that just had a dynamic personality. He could relate to you no matter where you were from, and was very happy to meet you. Oh, he's super happy to just meet new people and make friends, and that was part of his career too. So he just had that. I guess you'll call it a entrepreneurial slash salesman vibe. That not in a cheap way though. He was genuine and happy and boisterous and laughed a lot. When he laughed, you laughed because it was just awesome to hear him laugh. And he told jokes constantly. He would even go so far as to call my grandparents up, middle of the day, no real reason, and just start telling the joke. Hello, hey, guy walks into a bar, kind of a thing, and tells this joke, makes my grandparents crack up. And okay, got to get back to work. Click. Just like that. That's the kind of guy he was. He was hilarious. He loved to make people laugh. Loved to make people happy, and he did. By and large, he did. He did just by being, and that's a gift. Pardon me. That is a gift. So he has this just super dynamic personality, and everyone just loves having him around. And then he is taken away from us by his own, doing, unfortunately, because again, he didn't live the healthiest lifestyles. But so we all process this, and it hits everybody so hard. He was looked up to by the male cousins, me and my male cousins, a guy to aspire to be. Then we learned out he wasn't the healthiest individual in the world, and then say, okay, change a couple of habits, and then we're good to go. But I digress. Nothing. I take nothing away from my uncle at all. He was who he was, and he made this world better for being here. He really did. So we grieve, we process everything to the best of our ability. And then, and this is the part where we get a little spiritual, a little paranormal, comes the day of his funeral. An old friend. Now, he went to a Catholic high school when he was a kid. And that's where he met my dad. They knew each other. And he introduced my dad, or he was a friend of a friend that introduced my dad to my mom. And then, I came in a few years later, but that's not the story. So, and surprisingly, not surprisingly at all, but everybody, including my dad, showed up. And my parents were divorced when I was very young. So to have him there was beyond expected. And to have his support was also beyond expected. It was just such a gift having him there for Jimmy's funeral. Just to add a personal note, shoot, I'm gonna get all misty telling this story, so bear with me if I do. So the church, we're Catholic, so the church we hold the funeral in is packed, just packed, and it's people, it's family and friends that all knew Jimmy, including people from work, including neighbors, his neighbors, including his ex-wife, including his current wife, obviously. Poor lady. Yeah, she Anyway, the priest maneuvered his schedule so he could be the one presiding over Jimmy's funeral, which is saying something because I think the guy was next in line to be bishop or cardinal or something like that of the area. Don't quote me on that. I may be misremembering that, but he was higher up in the local church, and he taught Jimmy when he was at the Catholic high school. So he remembered him fondly. I said, "Yeah, I want to perform." Sorry, I'm getting misty here. I want to perform the proceedings, and so he does. And the priest is very mellow. You know, he's one of those guys that when he speaks, he just calms you down. You know, and when he says his words, be they the the prayers or just to speak on and about my uncle, the words are eloquent, simple, direct, and always sorry always with love and respect for the man. And it is probably one of the most beautiful services I've ever witnessed. Sorry, guys. Still gets to me sometimes. But we get to the ceremony. We are saying collectively, I guess, goodbye. And the priest is speaking those final words and makes a sign of the cross. Amen. We all say amen in response. And from aloft, there was this beautiful flower arrangement that his ex-wife had put together. And all of his, I didn't even know my uncle was into flowers and, growing things. But apparently he was. And he knew exactly what he wanted at his funeral. His wife remembered, and there were these beautiful orange, I think they're orchids, but don't quote me on that. And hung from potted, these hanging plants were all the back of the altar space, including over the pulpit where the priest was speaking. And this lone little petal floats down from one of these, I guess it's a blossom, technically, but a blossom floats down and lands on his shoulder, his right shoulder. And he proceeds to say his final words. I should say it's as he's saying the final words to wrap up the whole thing. The blossom floats down, lands right square on his shoulder. I mean, right here. It's amazing. And amen, amen. And then he gently takes the blossom with both hands and puts it on the pulpit, puts his hand kind of next to it, and there's this little hint of him kind of crying, like I'm doing right now. And then he gently walks away, leaves the blossom there. And we all witnessed this. And some people say, oh, just to blow it off. I saw it, and I knew it meant something. And so did a few others. Because we all saw it happen. This huge congregation of people, packed church with like easily able to seat something like 200 people, they had standing room only. It was, anyway, packed. And a friend of my grandfather's runs up to him, and he has that blossom in his hand. And he says, Joe, I got you that. That's your son put that there, I think. And my grandfather kept that blossom in the Bible, I think. And yeah, I'm super misty now. My apologies for losing my composure, but that is by far one of the best ghost stories I've ever had. I've ever witnessed too. Witnessed that one. That was amazing, and I do believe that is the case to this day. My uncle said goodbye to his favorite priest and all of us with that one little thing, and it made us all feel better that he was headed to a better place. Whether you believe that or not, I mean, that's entirely up to you. But I digress. Forgive my whew, now I'm all sniffly. Oh, I hate that. But let me tell you a little story about what happened not too long after that day. This revolves around my mother. Oh, I'm so sorry. And it was maybe 2 weeks after Jimmy's funeral. We had all taken a family pilgrimage, for lack of a better word, out to Santa Cruz, where he was born. Then we all came, where he was buried. That's what I meant to say. Where he was buried. He was buried in Santa Cruz, and I gotta visit his grave next time I go over there. I'm totally gonna. So he's buried in Santa Cruz. We all truck over the hill because between San Jose and Santa Cruz, there's this Highway 17, and we call it the hill. And it is. It's all treacherous. There's a lot of accidents there, even today. Oh, sorry. So we all truck over. We say our goodbyes. More crime. We pour his favorite alcohol over his grave, and take none for ourselves. Well, I was like 10 or 11 or 12 or something like that at the time. Maybe 13. Anyway. We all trek back over the hill, and we go to my grandparents' place. And my grandparents' place was always the place to gather. They had a pool, so it was great in summer, and they had this covered patio, and they had a beautiful barbecue, and it was always a cookout to one degree or another at my grandparents' place. I miss those days. If cleaning a house wasn't such a I'd do more family gatherings. Never mind, my entire family's gone to the Four Winds since then. But anyway, so we're all gathered there, and me and my cousins are swimming. First one's in the pool. And, there's hot dogs or something, or burgers, or chicken, or something cooking on. Probably all three. Cooking on the barbecue. And my grandfather's tending it. That was his place, during those functions. And we're all a little somber. And we're thinking about Jimmy, and we're talking about him, and we're laughing at the old jokes he used to tell and the funny things he did as a kid. Because apparently, just as a side story, my uncle, when he was 2 or 3, was aware enough as a young man to know that the family was financially struggling a little bit at that time. So he went and he got a job at the corner grocery store. Swear. And the store owner was so taken by Sherry, I'll get to your thing in a second. I'd love to hear more about that. The store owner was so taken by this little guy saying, I need a job to help my family. He says, well, the little kid can't really lift that much. We can't have him move pallets around. And I don't know, he's going to get trampled if he puts stuff on shelves. I know. Dust the cans, because it gets dusty in a store like it does anywhere else. Dust the cans for me. I'll give you a penny a can. That's what he did. I think he did that up until he started going to school properly. And so help me. So he got a penny a jar, and he gave it to the family and put I think my grandparents kept it to the side and just let him have it when he was old enough to. I was like, hey, remember that job you had? Anyway, so that's the kind of person, even as a young man, my uncle was. He was always wanted to help, wanted to make people laugh, wanted to keep people happy, and, you know, giving that happiness made him happy. So that's how he went. Um, that's how he was anyway. So anyway, we're at the gathering. This is 2 or 3 weeks later, and my mom is kind of like this. She's in the corner, not like her at all. But she's more in the corner of this covered patio section where everyone else is outside. And, or wait, was that before the covered patio? That may have been before the covered patio. Anyway, so she's in this one section, kind of away from everyone. And the way she tells the story is, and then I saw him. And as soon as and it's like he was there to join us. You know, he was in his clothes, like his normal everyday wear. He wasn't wearing a suit or anything like you might expect, but no, he was there in his everyday clothes, and he sees that my mom sees him, and he goes like this and rounds over to where my mom is and leans over, gets behind her and leans over and talks into the opposite ear and says, keep an eye on mom and dad for me, my grandparents. And then I think she nods, and then she says she sees him walk. There's this little side path. Most houses have that, have a little side path back out to the front. And he walks out, and then when she turns to look at him directly, he's not there anymore. And she cries about it, and it's like, and she, again, even though we're later in the 80s at this point, there is, sorry, I'm sniffly still. It's still a big stigma about ghosts and spirituality and stuff like that. Not as open as we are today. So she, makes a breakdown. She makes an excuse. Yeah, sorry, I'm just kind of feeling his loss right now, and bit of a love fest for my mom. Everyone holds her hand and hugs her and stuff like that. And then someone says something. You know what Jimmy would say at a time like this? And that, I forget what the joke is, to be honest, but it made everyone crack up and lighten the mood. And my uncle was still making everyone laugh, even after he passed. It was great. But I didn't hear the story till way later on. And my mom took that to heart and did take care of my grandparents until they passed several decades later. But, yeah. That was a full-bodied apparition. He was apparently kind of see-through, and only she saw him. Only she had the wiring, so to speak, up in the old brain there, or the eyes, or what have you, to be able to perceive him. And his final visit, I guess leave it to him. He wanted to come to the party too. I think that was fantastic. And my aunts and my grandparents had also, and I think his ex, or now ex at that time, but just because of the nature of the death, I can't be married to a corpse anymore. But wow, that was morbid. All had the dreams, the goodbye dreams, and this is kind of documented in psychology and stuff like that, where people are visited by loved ones who have passed, close friends too. You'll see Henry at the end of this. I'm going to cry again. You'll see Henry at the end of the broadcast with a little message of how much we miss him, dedication to him. And got a visit from him too, by the way. But Yeah, everyone had their goodbye dreams, and they all shared their goodbye dreams over the months or weeks, maybe it was, and then nothing. He had moved on. Apparently, he said his goodbyes. Oh man, I did not expect that to hit me so hard. Sherry, I'm going to give you the floor. Do you want to join me on the air, or do you want to just email me or chat with me about it? Let me know. I'm waiting. No, I'm kidding. Sorry. Give me a second to clean up here. Downside about crying on air, man. You just turn into a mess in front of everyone. Sherry starts out with saying that moved to a house just before Christmas, and a few weird things have happened. So I like to hear more about that. So please do either type away, or if again I could send you a link to join me on the air here. That goes for all of you in the chat, and for all of you watching and listening. If you want to jump in, hop in the chat, or you can email me. Let me get my email going here. Tonight, open mic. Wow, people just keep erasing my stuff, man. Oh, no, they don't. Paranormal Insight, Paranormal Insight. Oh, it all got shared. Oh, you guys. Anyway, the address is paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. I gotta write that down, I think. Paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. Insight. Wow, I can't type. And we'll scroll it and adding the banner now. And we're showing the banner. There it is. I wish it were a little bigger. Maybe I should make it a little bigger. Let's see here. There we go. Speed, position. Oh, I can't make it bigger. Well, that's annoying. Just go. Show. Oh, nope, that's not it. Show. So save. Are we having fun yet as Tim learns how to use the buttons here? There we go. One thing I did learn how to use. We have sound buttons on here. I've been enjoying them so much. Thank you so much. So I can cam my own laughs now. This is awesome. Sherry hasn't written in yet, so I will start in another story, possibly the final story, but another story for you. And this kind of goes to, this is more of maybe I've told this story before in the air. Honestly, I don't remember. But at the risk of repeating myself, I will tell you a story that involved me, but is primarily about my grandfather. Yeah, it is cool to have your own live audience. Okay. Sherry, go ahead and share that story, please, as soon as you're able. Or rate me and or email me or whatever. And we'll go from there. Shoot, is the email up, Tim? I don't think the email's up. She could have written you like 5 times by now. You didn't even know. Anywho, the story surrounds my grandfather. This is about, give or take, maybe at least 15, 20 years. Yeah, give or take. After, oh man. Yeah, roughly 20 years. God, was it 20 years ago already? Golly. Where, sorry, someone wrote me a message, but it's not for this. But, anyway, so well after my uncle's passing, like like I said, maybe something like 20 years ago. I'm in my 30s at this point, and or I'm about to be in my 30s, give or take. See, I'm a little lost as to when all these things went down now. Nonetheless, I was a young man doing my own thing. I think it was post Air Force, so mid 90s, late 90s, early aughts, probably early aughts, maybe late aughts. So 2009, 2010, something like that. And yeah, probably around then. Give or take, maybe mid aughts, 2004, 2005. Gosh, now I can't remember. Anyway, that doesn't matter. The story is this. Uh, my grandfather, we were having another one of those family gatherings at his place, like we did every so often. Not often enough, in my opinion, but it was a bit of a bear for them to take on as the years ticked by. But it was always fun. So a little too cold to use the pool, but not cold, not too cold to have a barbecue and sit around and enjoy each other's company, tell stories, and so on and so forth, catch up. And my grandfather does something very interesting. Um, my oldest cousin, the oldest cousin in the family, actually, he was the firstborn of the grandchildren, Tommy. He and I are pulled aside, if you will. Pulled over? Yeah, pulled aside is way better. We weren't getting a parking ticket. So my grandfather walks us over to the far side of the backyard. And the pool occupies the bulk of the backyard, but there was still a little bit of room for like his personal garden. My grandfather was a great gardener, by the way. Great gardener. Just knew how to grow stuff. I do not have that gene. I kill everything I put in the ground. It's a little annoying because I wish I were better at it. But I digress. So he says to us, gentlemen, I don't know where, I don't know when, but at one point, you're going to have to fight over these rings. And he holds out his hand like this. And my grandfather had a couple of rings. One fit on his pinky. And that was his mother's, my great grandmother's wedding ring. And then there was his wedding band, and then an amethyst ring he had on his middle finger, and that was significant. I can't remember why. Either a very close friend or another family member owned that ring. He just always kept them on him. And gosh, was that the right hand or left hand? I don't know. Okay, now I'm drawing a blank. Because the wedding band's not on the right hand, it's over here on the left, isn't it? So I don't think I think it's just those two fingers. Anyway, you're gonna have to fight with these two rings, and so I opted. I'm not a jewelry warrior, okay? I don't do that. My grandfather liked his necklaces, the gold necklace. He liked his rings. I couldn't do it. Just not my bag. And my cousin, for the most part, him neither. Although I think he did have a gold chain for a while. But anyway. Weirdest thing out of the blue. None of this makes zero sense. And I'm picking up on this, the way he's talking, the energy of his words. And he is somber, almost like my uncle died all over again. Okay. And that was, like I said, at this point, maybe a decade and a half, 2 decades ago, prior rather. And he says, so you got to fight over these rings. And it wasn't much of a fight. I mean, we mockingly put our dukes up and I said, no, I want the little one. Oh, I want the purple one. Fight over. We know what we want, and we don't want the same thing. And so he gives us each like a half a hug kind of thing. All right, boys, go enjoy the rest of the day. And I am bothered by what I'm sensing, and it is, and it starts to click. He has had some sort of premonition. You can tell. I don't know how one can tell. It's just the body language. It was the tone in his voice. Whole bunch of different things that told me he had a premonition of some sort. And at this point in my life, I'm starting to get into this thing a little bit more. It's not quite as taboo. You're still a little cuckoo if you believe in it, but it's not as bad. We're talking early to mid aughts. Yeah. So he does not join us. He splits off and he's going to go into his room for a second. Now his room had a sliding door into the backyard, so he was just going to slip in there and I don't know what. He was a musician. He liked to work on music while, and if he was behind, he would his orchestrations. He'd go work on them sometimes, especially if he wasn't really missing out on anything like old news was being told or anything like that, or if he was under pressure to finish stuff up, like he said, "Oh, I gotta do this so that I can spend time with the family." So I don't know what was motivating him to split off, but he was almost misty. Okay, he was on the verge, and I stopped and I said, Grandpa, that's what we called him, Grandpa. And I said, are you okay? Did you see something? And he looks at me with this curious kind of cock of the head, and he considers, and he's struggling, and he's kind of wringing his hands a little bit, and I put him in a corner, and I never felt bad about anything else in my life up to that point. And I let him go. I said, you know what? Never mind. I thought I caught something there. It's none of my business. I love you. You have I'll see you at dinner, I guess. And then he stops me and he gives me one of these in the arm, and he gives me like half a hug. And he says, "You're a good kid." I had hair back then. He tousles my hair a little bit and walks in, and we go our separate ways. And I was just kind of personally devastated at that point. And I'm telling you that story because almost to the day, a week later, he was tragically taken from us in a hit and run accident. And he went like that, according to the doctors. He didn't suffer, which I'm grateful for, because what was left of my poor grandfather was a mangled mess, if I'm being honest. Not to bring the room down, but we almost didn't have an open casket for him because it was that bad. So, happy Thursday to all of you. That was tough, but it made me question that entire interaction. And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I finally had the courage to talk to my mom about what I experienced. Given that she saw ghosts once in a while, and she let me know about her premonitions. I think I talked about that on the show, which are surprisingly accurate and come with subtitles. She's her vision is when her second sight kicks in, and it's something bad, including my uncle's death, I should add. She saw him clutch his chest at his work and drop to his knees And the way I think they even caught it on security footage back in the day when she saw it verbatim, and she had the 2 week. She had 2 weeks notice before it even happened, and she could not get a hold of him for the life of him. So meant to be. I don't know. Is this how the cosmos works? Some people can see it, and they're just not allowed to reach out and prevent it. Who knows? But if my mother rather had these abilities, who's to say she didn't get it from my grandparents? They're her parents, in particular, my grandfather. And the theory, and it's never confirmed, but for some interesting writings he did once, kind of told the story. It was like an impromptu manuscript kind of a thing. He told his own story growing up as a young man who only spoke Italian initially and learned English thanks to a friend of his in like grade school, like first grade or something like that. And anyway, so I think my grandfather had second sight or psychic or medium powers or whatever it is you want to call it. I think he foresaw his own death. And that's why he pulled us aside. And he was suddenly wrapping things up that entire week, including having the barbecue with us, because he was almost insistent. And the day prior to his the accident that would end him, he reached out to my mom and practically begged to see her one more time. They were in music together. She sang with his band, I think. I think she was singing with him by then. And he was desperate to talk to her, but she was exhausted, driving through one eye. If you're ever been that tired. So she says, "No, I can't do it tonight. Tomorrow," and tomorrow never came for my grandfather. Not technically. I mean, technically yes, but they were never able to speak again. So hey, again, I'm bringing the room down. So my apologies for that. But I wanted to more or less focus on my grandfather's apparent precognitive ability. I don't know if that was just cropped up for him or if he had these instances before. Because he always had an instinct that was, well, almost precognitive, I guess is the word. Like, he could tell what people are going to say in advance prior to them saying it. Like, he knew what how a conversation was going to go, and it actually helped him out because he was a negotiator for the local growers of the orchard, the farmers and stuff out here who sold their wares. He was the guy who negotiated a lot of those early deals that are still being acted on today. I mean, they've been modified, obviously, but he could read a conversation, read a person, read people. He just knew. And it was uncanny. I mean, sometimes it was a little spooky, but he caught what most people missed. In another life, he could have been a fantastic detective. He probably would have had a solve rate that would bury most people, most professionals in the business. But he could just read people, and it was pretty impressive. So, yeah, that's again. I think he foresaw his own demise, and he was settling up with his family, including me. I still have that ring somewhere. I don't wear jewelry, so more or less because I'm allergic to it. Yeah, I'm allergic to precious metals. I'm one of those guys. So, sorry. But, okay. So, let us look at the clock. Oh my gosh, we only have 20 minutes left. So Sherry never wrote me, which I guess she's busy. Oh, she's driving around. She can't write me. What am I thinking? Okay, well, that's all right. Sherry, maybe you know my email now, or at least you should. Write me. Tell me that story, and I'll bring it up at the next show. Or, hopefully, the next show. Oh, that reminds me. While it's been lovely being in this time slot, my time slot is changing. Still Thursdays, but, pardon my chewing, I'll be on the air 1 hour later. So it'll be 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, and all time zones in between and outside. So beware of that, please. I'll be making updates to the Instagram that express that, hopefully a lot, and everyone catches on. And my weekly posts prior to my show will, of course, include that information, but we are going to be starting an hour later now. We're, well, on my time zone, the Pacific time zone, 1 to 3. And then on the East Coast will be 4 to 6. And again, all other time zones. Tim, hey, P&L's here. Hey, how's it going, man? how's it going? Hey, good to see you. Ah, that's fantastic. I'm so glad you're here. But yeah. So we have a couple new shows joining us, and that's why the shift was made. To accommodate these new personalities joining us on the UPRN network and stuff. Let's see here. It's good to see you too. No, you're the best. That's fantastic. Hey, I was asking everyone to tell me their family ghost stories. Do you have any you want to share? Sherry had one for me, but she's driving. At least I think so. Okay. I tell you what, if you're on the network right now or in the studio space, once you hop on and yeah, I can join if you want. Oh yeah, please do. Are you able? Do you need a link? But it's family. Oh, the UPRN Greater Family. I include that there. So, if you want to join me in the jump into the podcast, I'd be love to have you as a guest. Sherry, do you want a link? Because I can send you the link. Let me grab that real quick. Okay, Sherry, I'm gonna. I need an email from you or something like that. I can't send it to you here because it'll go out to everyone, which I guess is okay. But I don't want to bombard everyone with that stuff. So, is there a way for you to email me, or do you just want me to risk it and send it to you here, Sherry, in the chat? Okay. Well, I tell you what, Sherry, I'm just going to do it. Here it is. It's going out to the world. I can't isolate anyone, unfortunately. So here it goes. Everyone's going to get this now. That's the link for this particular transmission. So if you want to join me, I got 15 minutes of nothing but you to put on the air. So please do join me. That'd be fantastic. As I chew on my cheese stick. Everybody joins, yeah. That'd be fantastic. I'd love that, man. That'd be great. Everyone just suddenly jumps on. Oh, there they are. Sherry's here. Hey, 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 Sherry. How's it going?
Good. Nice to see you. Actually, kind of in person.
Kind of in person for sure. And welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Unexpected, but I said, why not?
Why not? So tell us your
It's too much.
story.
It's too much to type. Well, we moved to this house. It's probably like 10 minutes outside the city.
Mhm.
And it's on a big plot of land. And I didn't know until we moved. The day we moved in, there was a picture left on a table because they left
Ooh,
us this big, huge dining room table, all wood and chairs and whatever, beautiful. But on the table,
nice.
there was a picture in a frame of an old farmhouse. And apparently they built on top of the old farmhouse. And I never knew, which was kind of cool.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
because the old barn is still there and everything. So that was nice. But since we moved in, um, I was even just the other night, I was sat on my bed and I was just listening to a podcast and kind of facing the door. Two of the dogs were on the bed. One dog was down on the bottom of the bed. And as I'm looking directly at the door moves back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, three
Uh,
or four times. And I'm looking at it saying, there's no way. And then one of the dogs started to growl at the corner.
uh,
There's a chair, and she started to growl, 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 growl. And I was like, okay, because then I was trying to figure out, is there anything that could have caused that? But nothing was on. There was nothing blowing. No other animals passing it. That was kind of weird. Another night I was
yeah,
in
that is
bed.
strange.
Another night I was in the bed. The door opened, and I was like, okay, maybe. But now one of my sons has seen. He thought so. He thought one of his other brothers went into the bathroom, walked into the bathroom, fully expecting him to be in there, and there was nobody there. So that's another
Oh,
thing. And then one of my other sons lives downstairs, and he's on his computer, and it's a big rec room, but there's a door directly to the outside there, and he's back onto that door. And it's happened now multiple times. The door, somebody will knock at the door, knock, knock, knock. He turns around, there's nobody there. He'll open the back door, and I mean, it's only woods and fields and whatever there anyway.
yeah,
But
yeah.
opens the door, nobody. He'll close the door, go back, knock, 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 knock.
Oh,
It's happened now several times. And another night I was in bed and I the smoke, like cigarette smoke, just like if I was smoking a cigarette and blew it right directly in your face. I
oh,
couldn't
that's kind of
believe
like
it.
my aunt's experience. Yeah,
Yeah,
with the
yeah. So
perfume.
it's just ongoing. Now I do mediumship stuff and that, but I won't read into it. Not in my own house. I'm like, no, I'll just wait and see because it feels good there, so it's nothing bad.
Okay.
But I did find out since there was a man and woman, older man and woman who lived there just recently. The lady died last year, and that's why they were selling the house. But she didn't die in the house; she died in the hospital. But
Mm.
her husband, we're back like probably 150 feet from the road or whatever, and her
Okay.
husband had dementia, and he actually got up in the night one night and went out and ran down and got knocked down by a car outside
Oh,
and killed. So I don't know if it's him or and one of them smoked because everything was covered in smoke when we got there. We just had to
oh,
clean
did you
it and
find
clean
the
it.
rings in the ceiling and stuff
Oh
like
my
that?
God! Yes, you wouldn't believe. I used a ton of what do you call it? The spray, not Vim. It's another kind. But anyway, I'd spray it on the light switches, and they would
Mhm.
just turn. It would all just come off yellow, and turn white. So one of them smoked, but I've smelled the smoke. So yeah, that's kind of
Oh,
ongoing.
that's interesting.
Yeah, just waiting to see what happens there. So
Yeah.
that's my story. But I do have one funny story at my
Go
old
ahead.
house. I'll just
Okay.
tell you quickly, then I'll
Please.
jump off. Um, in my old house, in the bedroom, the two nightstands are there, and if you reach right around the back of the nightstand and tap it, the light will come on underneath the nightstand. It's just a little glow. I guess I don't know if you were going to the bathroom or something. We never used them ever. And I
Okay.
woke up. I woke up one night and opened my eyes, and there was light in the room. And I said, what is on the go? And I realized it was the side my husband was on. So I got up, turned it off, got back in bed. So this started to happen over and over and over. And so
Hmm.
then I unplugged it. I said, I'll try a different plug. Maybe it's the plug. Tried that. No, it still happened. Try a different light bulb. I'm trying it all. And then I said, then one night we were getting ready to go to the cabin. And I stood in the room and I said, you know what? I think there's somebody here. And so I speak aloud to the room. I said, okay, now if there's somebody here, I'm just going to tell you, my nightstand over there on the other side with the clock radio and everything, it works just the same. If you touch the back of that, the light will come on there too. And I left and walked out of the room, went on up to the cabin. About 10:30 that night, one of my older son's phone. Ma, the light is on in your room. I said, yes. I said, yes, don't mind that. I said, it's been coming on all the time. I said, the one there on my husband, Jerry's side. He goes, no, the one on your side. So I just went, oh, I said, maybe that's probably just Nan. He said, yeah, well, she can go somewhere else, he said.
Oh, man.
But doing mediumship and stuff, and I remember we were practicing one day, and my grandmother came through somebody else, and she talked about doing stuff with the lights and that. So I think that was her at that house.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
Gotcha.
So
that's intriguing. That's really neat.
So that's my story.
Well, thank you so much for sharing
little
that.
things. Yes, it was nice to talk to you in person, kind of.
Good to talk to you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Sherry, you have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you next week, maybe, huh?
Now, how do I get out of this, or do you kick me out? Okay.
Bye. Yeah,
I
you just say, did you figure it out? Okay, she figured it out. That was Sherry, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Sherry. That was fantastic. Fellow podcaster, if you'd like to jump on, please do. I got a few minutes left. Tell me your story. I love doing this. I'm going to make a whole show where everyone just pops in for a minute or 2 or 5 and tells their story. That'd be great. Yeah, thank you, Sherry. That was fantastic. You just said thanks in the chat. Yes, you did do a good job. You told some cool stories, man. I mean, that's impressive. And being a medium on top of everything else, that's got to be, I guess the word is noisy. Lots of stuff happening around you constantly. Yeah, that's kind of intriguing. Spray 9 was the stuff. What's for supper? Okay. Well, it's not supper time here yet, not even close. But it looks like we're probably going to have some turkey. Some turkey, some vegetables, that type of thing. And I ran out of things to talk about because everyone else's ghost stories were so intriguing. Well, I don't know. I tell you what, dude. Just hop on real quick. Say hey. P&L podcast. I love that. That's your thing. So yeah, hop on, say hi real quick at least, and we'll go from there. If you please. Or wait, do you follow me? Maybe you're prepping your own thing. On your sandwich once. No way. Okay. Hold on, I'm sharing this with everyone. A ghost commented on your sandwich once when you dropped it on the patio. That's bizarre. Were you on a case or just living your life? I'm just kind of curious about that. And again, you can pop it into the studio if you want. Tell me about your sandwich story. Pardon my chewing. I'm waiting for a reply. Okay, that's fine. Well, we got, 8? Oh, there they are. Fantastic. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Tim, how's it going?
How's it going, Jen?
I don't have my camera on because my hair and all that job is a mess.
That's okay.
And my husband is over there eating his Boston pizza. We just got it.
Wow.
Salad and soup.
Digging into those carbs. I dig it. So tell me about your sandwich.
Yes, I was out on this is so stupid, I know, because we're talking about food because we're eating supper, but I was out on the back patio and I had this sandwich. It was in the summertime, and I brought it out, had it all set up and everything. And I even had my cat out there with me on a string and his jacket on. And I don't know what happened, but I dropped half of it on the floor and I couldn't reach it the area where it went. So I started shouting out to my husband, and the back door was wide open. This is
Yeah.
so weird. So, and I started shouting out to him because he's over in a doggy daycare, like right next to me, like across from the house in a separate building.
Yeah.
So then I hear this banging, bang, 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 bang on the window. And I thought he was inside the daycare banging on the window, laughing at me. And so he came in from around the house and came in through the back door. I didn't come out through the side of the door in the garden. And I was like, why were you banging on the window? He was like, what are you talking about? He was like, I wasn't even over in the daycare. He said, I was outside. I was like, what? It's like, who was that banging on the window? Like, it was full on knuckles, Tim. Like,
Yeah.
like really loud,
Yeah, sure,
right?
sure.
And then, but before that happened, before I called out to him, I heard somebody say, "Oh, that looks delicious." And it kind of freaked me out, right? Because it was in a side of the house where the mediums, every medium I've ever met, always tell me there's some kind of something on that side of the house. They've even had me salt that area and everything, but I think it was my grandfather. That's who I think it was.
Huh. Likes the food on the ground, huh?
But no, I think he was trying to get my husband's attention. I think that was him banging on my husband's window,
Oh, gotcha.
trying to
Okay.
get his attention because I dropped my sandwich.
Make her another sandwich. What's the matter with you?
No, but we've had him in the house very strong, like EVPs and
Oh, wow.
cat balls, all
That's
kinds of
intriguing. That's really
yeah, like
intriguing.
spirit box, like
That's
a lot of different things.
wow. That's
Dowsing
impressive.
rods. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
granddad's hanging out, huh?
Yeah, we have a lot
That's
of fun
incredible.
stories with that.
That
Like
is
we have this
incredible. Thank you so much for
like
sharing that.
yeah. I think are you almost done? Because I think you're live 156. So you're almost done,
Yeah.
right? Are you
Yeah,
yeah.
we're almost out of here. I was thinking of cutting out a pinch early, but it looks like Carr has something to say as well. So I
Yeah,
might
come
let them
on
tell
in,
their
Kara.
story.
I'm gonna jump out because my husband wants to eat his supper.
Okay, go
Okay, have a
enjoy
great
that food.
day.
Thanks for joining us, Jen.
All right, bye, Tim. Bye,
Bye bye.
everybody. Make sure you follow Tim. Hit that like,
Follow
subscribe.
Jen. Yeah, thank you so much. Same thing for
Okay.
Jen.
Bye, Tim.
Bye bye. Carr, do you want to hop on real quick and tell me what's what? Because you had this really, I'll share this with everyone. When you were learning how to remove, I guess, stuck souls, that's a guess, your doorbell would ring. And then the thing is, the doorbell button was busted. And they used to wake you up, like, up until they were released, which is pretty cool. You know what I've had happen to me? Kind of unrelated, but yet related. And I only got a minute or two to tell you all this. So, but off and on over the past few years now, usually around the same time of year. Yes, P&L, Jen, it was a cool story. I dig it. And Grandpa wants your husband to make you another sandwich. That's fantastic. But over the past few years, same time of year, every year, my doorbell rings at 2:30 in the morning. Exactly. Ding dong once wakes me up. I'm freaked. I check my security cameras on the phone. No one's there. I rewind it. Nothing. Nobody. No birds or anything like that. But isn't that interesting? It's usually during the summer, like around July or August. For the past few years. Ding dong. 2:30 in the morning. Really freaking annoying. Kind of scary too. And that's the end of my ghost story. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Paranormal Insight. My name is Tim Sedano. Thank you so much for joining us here. Thank you very much to the chat and to our guests, a special surprise guest, Sherry and Jen. Go ahead and watch the P&O podcast. You're going to love it. And we'll see you next time on Paranormal Insight. If you have a paranormal experience that you would like to discuss on the show, please email us at paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com. That's paranormal.insight.podcast@gmail.com.